How to become a memory champion. My name's Ron White. I'm a two-time USA memory champion. This is the exact shirt I was wearing when I won the 2010 USA Memory Championship. These are my tips and strategies on how to become a memory champion. Strategy number one, it's not about being a memory champion. And you may be like, whoa, what a weird way to start off a video on how to become a memory champion by saying it's not about being a memory champion. This is what I mean. Last year, about 30,000 people competed in the Boston Marathon. How many of those do you think when they signed up actually believed they were going to cross the finish line first and win the Boston Marathon? 100 of them? I really have no idea how many believe they actually have a legitimate shot, but I'm going to bet it is a small percentage of the 30,000 that ran. The truth is, it takes about 4 hours and 20 minutes to run a marathon on average. To win the Boston Marathon, you're going to need to do it closer to 2 hours, half of that time. 19% of the people who compete in a marathon take more than 5 hours. So certainly most people know that they're not going to win. So why compete in something that you know you're not going to win? Why compete in a memory tournament if you know you're not going to win? Because it's not always about winning. To become a champion, you don't necessarily have to be in first place. To become a champion, you have to push yourself farther than you think is possible. To become a champion, you need to become your personal best. Oftentimes have to change your habits, change your diet, and put in tremendous amount of work. And if you do all those things, you become a champion just by competing. And then if you cross the finish line first, boom, icing on the cake. But first of all, realize that becoming a champion is becoming your personal best, the best version of you. Number two, define clearly your goals for any tournament. For the USA Memory Championship, 100 days out, I wrote in a book, I will memorize a deck of cards in under 90 seconds. I will memorize a 167-digit number in 5 minutes. And number three, I will become the 2009 USA Memory Champion. Those were my very clearly defined goals, written out in a journal 100 days before the tournament. And I looked at that often. Guess what? I memorized a deck of cards in under 90 seconds. Matter of fact, I set the record for the fastest in the United States at the time at 1 minute 27 seconds. I memorized exactly a 167-digit number in 5 minutes, and I became the 2009 USA Memory Champion. Make sure your goals are clearly defined. Write them out and look at them. But also write out there the why behind it. Why are you doing this? Write down your why behind your goals. Next, I believe you can work on your mindset for training in anything by really watching your health and nutrition. Good nutrition and exercise will play a role in your ability to focus and concentrate. Brain fog is one of my biggest struggles. I mean, brain fog is something I fight all the time. I gave up alcohol. I watched what I ate. I exercised. I lost 20 pounds training for a memory tournament. It's not only going to improve your body, it's going to give you confidence. And that more confidence is something you will rely on in the pressure and the stress of a tournament. Next, do something that you know nobody else is doing, or at least you think nobody else is doing. When Mike Tyson was training to become a heavyweight champion of the world, he would get up at 4 a.m. and go for a jog. And a reporter asked him, why do you jog every morning at 4 a.m.? He said, because I know that the guy I'm going to be boxing is not doing that. So it gives me a mental edge, knowing that I'm doing something he's not doing. Remember I told you I gave up alcohol 90 days before the tournament? That was in part because I wanted to be healthy and I wanted to have no brain fog. But it was also because I knew probably nobody else was doing it. Next, train consistently. Train when you do not feel like it. I remember once I woke up and I didn't feel like training and I messaged my coach, former U.S. Navy SEAL TC Cummings, and I said, TC, I'm not going to be training today. I don't feel sick. I feel like I kind of got a fever. And he messaged me back and he said, what happens if the day of the tournament you're sick and you have a fever? Are you telling me you're not going to compete? I said, no, man, I'll compete if it's the day of the tournament, but not in training. He messaged me back and he said, this is a golden opportunity. What a great way to see how you are going to perform when you're not feeling your best. Well, guess what? In 2010, I had so much anxiety before the tournament, I got about 30 to 40 minutes sleep that night. I walked into that tournament feeling terrible, but I had trained feeling terrible. And guess what? I won the 2010 USA Memory Championship because my training was so strong. Next, get yourself an accountability partner. My accountability partner was my coach, TC Cummings. But just make sure that it's somebody that you trust, somebody that will hold you accountable, and somebody that's going to call you out whenever you're not doing what you say that you're going to do. I remember one morning I woke up and I said, hey TC, I know I was supposed to be training by 8:30 this morning. I wasn't. And as my accountability partner, he said, Ron, and my coach, he said, Ron, whenever we were in the SEALs, whenever we were supposed to do something and we didn't do it, we didn't face a punishment, but we faced a consequence. And once we faced that consequence, we're able to wipe the slate clean and mentally go on. He said, I can't tell you what you need to do to wipe the slate clean, but do something that makes you uncomfortable and you really would rather not do. And that will mentally wipe the slate clean. You know what I did? I walked out to the pool of my apartment complex. I put my girlfriend on the phone in case something bad happened. And I jumped in the water when it was 32 degrees outside and swam across that pool. When I jumped out of that pool, boom! Clear-headed, I had wiped the slate clean. But if I did not have an accountability partner, I might have been beating up myself for the next couple months. I might have been thinking, man, who am I to win this memory tournament? I can't even get up at 8:30 in the morning. My accountability partner called me out. He gave me a suggestion. Do something to wipe the slate clean and then put it behind you. Next, decide what your numbers are and work towards that. Johannes Malo, who has set the record for memorizing a 501-digit number in 5 minutes. He told me, he said, Ron, you know what I do? I decide I want to memorize 500 numbers in 5 minutes. And every time I train, I go for 500 numbers in 5 minutes. Every time I go for 500. He said, when I first started doing it, there's going to be a lot of errors. But then I do it again, and I just work on reducing the number of errors until I've got it perfectly. Pick a number that is realistic and doable for you in a memory tournament. Try to memorize it. There's going to be errors, but at every time just work on reducing the errors. And I believe that applies to things other than memory championships as well. Now this next one kind of sounds silly, and I thought it was silly at first, but it's work on your self-talk. What if you walk around thinking, I'll never become a memory champion? I get stressed out when I try to remember. I'm not good at remembering names. Trying to remember numbers in 5 minutes stresses me out. If that's your self-talk, what are the odds that you're going to become a memory champion? Pretty small. I made a recording of myself, and the recording of myself said this: I enjoy memorizing numbers. Remembering names is easy for me. I stay calm under pressure. Time is on my side. And I had a recording of my voice and somebody else's voice saying those phrases. And I put that in my car and I listened to that over and over again as I drove. I was really working on my self-talk. You cannot have negative self-talk and become a champion at anything. Next, build your confidence with things that are completely unrelated to the tournament you're training for. Here's what I mean. Set for yourselves little achievable goals every day. Maybe you could write down, my goal is to drink 8 ounces of water within 30 minutes of being up. My goal is to do 20 push-ups every day. Then when you get back on the tournament, you will look back and you'll think, wow, I did 100 push-ups every week. Wow, I made my bed 90 times in the last 90 days. Little bitty goals that have nothing to do with the tournament you're competing in build your confidence. And those goals could be health and fitness goals. I lost weight, or I feel good, or I worked out. All that stuff fits together in building your confidence. Here's something that is very important. This is a quote by Jim Rohn, and it says this: the easier you are on yourself when no one else is watching, the harder life will be on you. The harder you are on yourself when no one else is watching, the easier life will be on you. I will say it this way: the easier you are on yourself in training, the harder the tournament's going to be for you. If you don't push yourself in training, the tournament's going to be harder on you. But on the opposite side of that, the harder you are on yourself when no one else is watching, the easier life will be on you. In an effort to be hard on myself in training, a handful of times I got a deck of cards and I memorized it underwater with snorkel gear, plastic playing cards, and a wetsuit. The truth is, I only did that about 10 or 15 times in the 90 days before the tournament. But the media latched onto that after I won, and they replayed that story over and over again. It gave the impression that that's all I did to train for the memory tournament. It certainly wasn't. But other things that I did do was I trained in public at restaurants and bars because I wanted to simulate a difficult environment with a lot of sounds going on. 80% of my training was in perfect quiet conditions, but 20% of my training was with noise and with distractions. The fastest I personally ever memorized a deck of cards was sitting at a bar eating hamburgers and drinking Cokes with people around me. So guys, this is my advice to you on winning a memory tournament, winning a memory championships, but I think it applies to life. Now, I taught you no memory systems in this because I wanted to focus on the mental side of competing in a tournament. I do have a memory course available though. It's called Black Belt Memory. If you click the link below, I believe this is the best memory course on the market. By far, bar none, hands down, the best memory course. Click the link, enter your email address, get a free gift, and try out the course. If you like this video, I appreciate all the thumbs up. I look forward to hearing about you becoming a memory champion or a champion at whatever you are competing in. More importantly, a champion in life.